Hey guys, one more time. So this is part two to the water pump experiments. If you haven't watch the previous videos, see what I'm up to. But the general idea is to put a water pump in one tank, in another tank, in another tank, in another tank, and so on. I have 5 in a row, and I want to share the water between tanks with using water pumps and tubing. So once I figured out the lever adjustments and the positioning of the pump so they do not lose water, so that they are absolutely stable, I used a little bit of ducking tape, and you can see it's right on the spot. And it's not moving up or down. The water is stable, even though water is coming out of this tank, coming into this tank, coming out of that tank, going into that tank. Why would I do such a thing? Well, if you have multiple tanks in a row, as you would have seen in my previous video, it's absolutely perfect because you'll put a sump on the end and have it filter through, and yet the nice clean water will go into every single tank. And the reason why I'm trying to do this is because I have a lot of little baby fry fish, and even though the water looks very murky, it really is getting cleaned up here. I will get this thing clean, don't worry guys. I just thought I'd shoot the video anyway, and since I'm doing water changes on all my tanks, I thought I'd try something new with water pumps, and I really want this to work. So why am I doing this? Well, I have a lot of fry fish, and I really do not want to harm the fry fish. And they are super gentle towards water quality and changes when they're that small. And you do overfeed those guys, and that's why the water goes murky. And I don't want to do a lot of things in the baby guppy tank, like water changes and cleaning the gravel and so on, because I don't want to disturb them. So if I share the water with another tank and do the water change on this tank instead of inside the fry fish tank, what happens is that, let's say I take the water down to half here, and I put half of nice filtered water, new clean water in here. It'll go over here in time and mix with this water. So it's like doing a very diluted water change, very gentle for these guys. And there's a ton of them in there. And I want to be as gentle to their water levels as possible. And just, I'm experimenting on guppies right now, but imagine if it was like an expensive fish and it has fry fish, and you don't want anything to happen to them, right? So the idea is to develop this, even if I don't continue sharing with every other guppy tank, even if it's just a way for me to change the water in the baby fry tank, then it's worth it, right? Because I dumped the new clean water in here, and it mixes with the old water. So the chlorine, even though you use medicine to treat chlorine, when it mixes with another half of existing water, it's not so bad, right? It dilutes, everything dilutes the chemicals and so on. And then that gently mixes with this water and it dilutes again. So it's really a very subtle change in their water. But over time, if I continue to change the water here, this will be very clean. This water will be very clean. And eventually, at some point, I can hook this up to directly to the water, right? To a water source, and just make sure that there is chlorine being dripped every so often off a dripper. So that's basically just a I'm starting off with guppies. If I get these guys right, if I do their water quality right, and let's see if I got this right. Yeah, it's still slightly off. So you gotta really watch it, but that's not so bad. It's a millimeter over the last, 5 to 10 minutes, 5 minutes. So it's not that bad of a drop. So if there's multiple tanks, it'll be almost next to impossible. But I still want to attempt it. I want to try at least lower water in every single one of my tanks as I continue to do this. If I have multiple pumps, and then just turn it on for one day, let it, let all the waters sink for a couple hours, and then just top up the tanks that need topping up. And voila, all my tanks have the same quality water, very little, next to no drastic changes, and I don't have to keep an in filter because 10-gallon tanks are really small, and I can't keep a filter inside the tank. It's just too bulky, too much electricity to have one in every single thing. This little pump doesn't take much electricity whatsoever, and I don't want to do the air bubbler in every single tank, so I'm working off a system that will keep the water aerated in one tank, keep it clean and changing in one tank, but it'll overflow to all tanks, and that's what I really want to do. Yeah, that's where it's headed. Thanks for watching, guys. If you haven't, there should be a little fish button at the very bottom right of the screen. Subscribe to my channel, watch and see where it all goes. Watch me work on all my tanks. I have a beta tank I'm working on. I have a 120-gallon tank, a 90-gallon tank, a 30-gallon tank. I have 20-gallon tanks. I have 6 guppy tanks. I have 2 5-gallon tanks. And I have a lot of work to do, and I'm trying to make sure that I can do this as easily and as best as possible for all fish. I want these guys to have really good water quality, and even though it doesn't look it right now, the end result will be nice plants, no dirt at the bottom of any tank, and crystal clear water. And that's basically where I'm aiming, and very little maintenance. I don't want to spend hours and hours on maintaining these, so I'm developing a way to do it as cost efficiently as possible. Hopefully you guys don't mind my videos. You really enjoy them. Like I said, I could really use your support. The more people I have subscribed at the bottom there, the better, because I hear all your advice, all your things that you guys have gone through. And I do go to your channels and I watch your channels, and I do experiment based on what I see. I love to watch you guys do wonderful jobs with your fish. I love to watch your fish. You'll see me coming through the channels and doing some comments. Hopefully I get to yours. If not, I'm doing my best to comment and get to you. Thanks for watching, and once again, I really appreciate your support. Thank you.